Hey there, it's Brittany Chavers and I'm back today with Jesse James Beads. We're going to make some fun jewelry using these beautiful beads from the fall lineup. We've got Autumn Skies and Cider House. I just love this orange strand. It's so beautiful. Look at those beads. And then we've got some fun charms and coordinating beads in the Autumn Skies mix. So I'm going to open this up. All right, in our earrings, we're going to use this strand first. I'm going for this beautiful copper bead right here. We're going to use that with our leaf. Just those two together is really pretty. And possibly the quatrefoil. Yeah, that's really pretty. I'm going to just do a stack. I'm not going to do like these two stacked together. I'm going to do separate bead wraps for each one. So I have a piece of 22 gauge German style beading wire. I'm just gonna do a loop, attach my charm, and this is probably going to be the easiest out of the earrings we're making today, but all of them are beginner friendly. And I'm just gonna wire wrap that close. Now, if you're not ready to start doing wire wraps, just do a simple loop or grab an eye pin. The loop is already created for you. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut off that tail in the back. And now our wire is attached to our leaf. I'm gonna go ahead and put on my bead and wire wrap that closed. Get that loop a little smaller. There we go. And pull that around. And I'm going to take my other pliers and pull that because it's a shorter piece and a chunkier bead. And I'll just reposition until I can get that wire wrapped closed. Snip that closed, and then I'm going to grab another piece of wire, do another loop, and make sure I slip my earring on before I close that loop as well. I'm not really doing messy wraps on this one. And then we'll snip in the back. Like I said, that's a cute earring. If you just want a 5-minute pair, just pop those on and go. This is not going to make it much longer. Adding another bead is not going to add much more time to making your pair, but it's going to give us some more sparkle. We're just making cute little drop earrings, and then I'm just going to do another wire wrap loop at the top. Okay, and this is the back, so we're going to pull a little bit more. And you could go crazy with those wire wraps if you'd like, but I'm just going to have a few at the top. And that's our easy peasy first earring. We're not going to go too complicated today, but this one just looks so pretty. And heading into fall, the perfect accessory. So we'll add an ear wire and just a little bit to that. The next earring is a little bit more difficult, but not by much. We're going to take this charm from the mix, this charm, these 3 yellow beads, 2 spacers, and 2 bead caps. Okay, we're going to have that same principle where I'm going to wire wrap onto the charms, but the charms are going to stack on top of each other. So I'm going to do a loop here. And before I close, I'm going to put on my smaller leaf. And then I'm going to put on my larger leaf. And that's going to be on top of the one, the smaller is going to be on top of the larger. I'm going to wire wrap this closed. And we're really using the same technique to make progressively more difficult earrings today, but like I said, they're all user-friendly or beginner-friendly. Okay, we're doing a wire wrap there. Cut this off. And then I'm just going to stack my other beads. So I'm going to put on a bead cap, a yellow bead, a bead cap, or a spacer, another yellow, another spacer, the last yellow, and then the bead cap. And then I'll just wire wrap that closed, straighten it out a little bit, and you have a nice yellow earring. Yellow's really fun, and I think it's going to be a nice color for fall this year. And I'm just going to close that up by doing 3 wraps and snip in the back. And there is our next earring. Next earring, we're going to take 4 of these little drops, and I have some ball head pin. I'm going to wire wrap each one closed. So I'll grab a bead, place that on my ball head pin, and then we will go ahead and wire wrap that to make a little dangle. Okay, I'm going to do that 4 times. And then I'm going to do that same step that we've done on the first 2 earrings, and I'm going to go ahead and do a wire wrapped loop. And then I am going to slide on all 4 of these beads. Wire wrap that closed. And then this is going to become like our head pin going into the rest of the earring design. There we go, we've got our wire wrap loop. And then I will go ahead and grab a bead cap, one of these green beads, another bead cap, and then one of my quatrefoil beads. And then we'll wire wrap that closed. And we have like little orange leaves. That's what I feel like that looks like. Or maybe some flames from a bonfire or something hanging below our little beads. There's that earring. It's a little wonky. There we go. There's that earring. So much fun. We're going to do 2 more pairs, and they're both about the same level of difficulty. Not difficult at all. Still good for beginners. And then we will be finished. So I'm going to take another piece of wire. I'm going to take this spacer from the strand, and I'm going to load that onto my wire. We're going to turn the spacer, instead of having it be this orientation, it's going to go on its side. So I'm going to bring it down, bring both pieces of wire up like that, and then wrap the shorter end around the longer end. So we're making that our head pin, just like we did with the little dangles. want to get that as tight as possible. If you need to use your pliers, that's totally okay. I'm just going to do 2 wraps. 1, 2, and cut that tail off. Next, I'm going to put on this rhinestone spacer. One of the leaf bead caps. This large bead that has rhinestones and little micro beads in it and a large hole. And then I'm going to put on another one of those bead caps. And I cut way too much wire, so I'll just use that on the next pair of earrings. And then I'm going to form those bead caps around that bead so it fits a little bit better. And we've got what looks like a big pumpkin hanging out on top of our little dangle there. So I'm just going to do a wire wrap loop at the top. And then I'll start to hold everything in place. And you can just maneuver as you need to. Again, you can, well, you can't really use a head pin for this one because the wire is what made our bottom portion of our earring. But there we go. And we'll just snip. I feel like this was probably one of the easier earrings. And they're so cute together. Just a cute little pumpkin dangle. And if you're interested, you can just make a bunch of these dangles. You don't have to use them as earrings. Put them on some chain, put them in your designs. I've seen that people have like drawers full of just dangles that they pull things out of and add them to their designs as they like. And it's a great way to use up extra beads too. The last design, I'm gonna take a ball head pin, this crystal from the strand, and one of the sheriff stars from the strand. And this one's going to be a little more difficult if you're not used to wire wrapping. I'm going to put on the sheriff star, but instead of just stacking it like we would with a regular bead, I'm going to turn that itself into a link. And I'm going to go ahead and bring my ball head pin down and start wire wrapping. It's not quite a loop, and it's going to be a little bit more loosely wire wrapped. I'm going to use my pliers than a normal wrap would. So it's gonna be a little bit more artistic looking than it normally would. So I'm just gonna bring it down and get it secure. I think that's actually a little too long, so I'm gonna pull a little bit more of my wire through, right? And then I'm just gonna wire wrap that around and down. I'm not going to wrap it tightly like I said before. It's just going to be a loose spiral to get it on. It almost looks like a creeping vine or something. And then I am going to trim that in the back. So we have our first part, our little crystal dangling. Ooh, we got to cut off that extra tail. It's a little too long there. There we go. So we have our dangle, which I think is really fun. I love those sheriff star components. And then I'm going to take some more of my 22 gauge wire, and I'm going to do the same thing at the top. It's going to be a little bit more like a wire wrap loop though. So I'm going to come through here, come up, kind of like we did with this pair, and do a loop at a wrap at the top to secure the star. And then trim that. And then I have these two from the mix, and they've got such a great hole placement. They're at the top, they're briolettes. So I'm gonna put one down and then put the next one down and make sure that they don't align facing the same direction. And making sure that my star is facing frontwards. So I'm going to hold those in place and start doing a wire wrapped loop. And the reason why I say this one's a little difficult is just because you might need to have some experience with wire wrapping, but it's not advanced, that's for sure. So now they're facing the exact same way. I don't want that. I'm going to hold them in place and slowly wire wrap down, because once they're wire wrapped, they're going to stay where they need to stay. So just make sure they're not facing the right direction or the wrong direction when you get that last wrap in place. Here we go. I think we can go more, a little tighter. There we go. And I'm going to snip in the back. We have a fun fall inspired pair of earrings. We're going to put some ear wires on so you can see everything finished. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial today. What a fun way to get 5 pairs of earrings out of 1 strand and 1 mix from Jessie James Beads. Let me know what you think, and thank you to Jessie James Beads for having me back. Have a great day. Bye-bye.